Alright, bro. Just survived an absolute petrifying leg day. Now it's time to do some monosaccharides. Alright, sit around the campfire and let me tell you a little story about our good friend monosaccharide. So here we have a massive molecule, and it kind of looks like a sentient spaghetti, you know? And we'll get to what a monosaccharide actually is, but for now, I want you to know what this is. This is what we call a carbohydrate, which in layman's terms just means a big old sugar, right? Bit of sugar. Now, if we were to actually look a little bit closer into this big old spaghetti, right? It's not spaghetti, but it's a molecule, okay? Take our magnifying glass and look at it a bit. We'll see that there are these little, hexagons that repeat over and over and over again. This is what our little culprit looks like, right? And this is what we call a monosaccharide. This right here. Now, in reality, it's not actually a weird looking yellow hexagon. This is what it actually looks like. And this bad boy right here is what makes up a sugar molecule, right? A big sugar molecule is made up of many, many, many of these tiny little bad boys. And in this case here, this little hexagon here that I'm showing you, this formula, is called glucose, and I'm sure you've heard that name before. So these guys here are special boys. Now, to look at this formula a bit closely, right? It's got C's, O's, H's, and that's the thing about a carbohydrate, about these molecules, is that they contain only carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Now I'm gonna give you a little bit of a jump scare. So, are you ready, bro? The thing is, you do actually have to learn this structure off by heart. Now, wait a minute, bro, alright? Don't be sogging your panties just yet. Because you have to learn a condensed formula, a condensed version of this. And this is what it looks like right here. Now, the thing about this structure is that, and you have to learn this, bro, every vertice, so every corner of this hexagon represents one carbon atom. So there's one here, there's one over here, there's one right there, one over here, and another one right on the end here. And this, in total, if you count it, it's 6 carbons. And because it has 6 carbons, we call that a hexose sugar. And a cool little life hack about biology that you need to learn, because it's kind of cool, is most things in biology, you can just kind of deduce what it means based on the name. So here, hex, what does a hex mean? It means 6. What does os mean? The prefix, it is sugar. Os means sugar. And sugar just means sugar. So yeah, you put all that together is 6 sugar. So I'm pretty sure you can kind of understand that with biology, most things you can just kind of deduce what it means based on the name. There's always hints in the name that tell you what it is. Alright, now it's time for more structure bollocks. So, we look closely at our brother here, and you can see OHs. Now, this is what we call the chemical group of the formula of the molecule. And this is really, really important. Now, what do these OHs do? So I'm pretty sure in one of my videos I covered water, and how water is a polar molecule. And I've discussed what it means. You can go back and watch that video. But basically, hydroxyls, the OHs, we call them a hydroxyl or an alcohol group, but the OHs are also polar, and the reason being is because oxygen is a strong boy, whereas hydrogen, he's a weakling, right? He's a pussy. So, because oxygen is stronger, it attracts the electron density towards it, meaning it is polar, and because of that, it can also form bonds with other things that are also polar, aka water. So here we have our water molecule, and here we have our hydroxyl group or molecule. And they attract each other because they can see, just like a magnet, the slight positive charge on hydrogen and the slight negative charge on oxygen attract each other, and we call this a hydrogen bond. Because they're able to do this, that means that sugars are soluble in water. And that's a very important property that you should understand, bro, is that these bad boys here are soluble in water. And the thing is, when we go back to our hydroxyl groups, they can also form hydrogen bonds with themselves as well. And we can see that here. And that leads us on to another little magical, cool thing that these guys can do. Now, you put these guys next to each other, and they basically just make love to each other. Because the hydroxyl groups are attracted to each other, they form a bond. And we call this little romantic bond a glycosidic bond. And again, you can infer that from the name. Glyco meaning sugar. This is a bond that happens between two sugars, two monosaccharides. And here we can see that. But wait, bro, wait, just slow down a minute. Because this isn't just any glycosidic bond. There are different types. And in this one, you can see, we call it a 1,4 glycosidic bond. And the reason being is because it is between the first carbon of one sugar molecule and the fourth carbon of another sugar molecule. And you can see that here. And this is what you want to put down in the exam, bro. Now let's take this little bro here and let's look at it a bit closely, right? This glycosidic bond has something cool about it. Now let's look at it a bit closely and we can see that there's something missing here, right? We can see something missing. Now before they made love to each other, they both had an OH. Now all that's remaining is an O, a glycosidic bond. All that's remaining is an oxygen. And so what left the molecule? What was kicked out? And the answer is H2O, water. You had an OH before, and there's two H's before and an O, and then they were gone. And so you can kind of think of it as, I guess they made love to each other, and the baby is water. And that's the thing about these reactions. You put these two molecules together, and they react with each other to form a disaccharide, which is what we call it, a disaccharide, and water. Water is also produced, and this is what we call a condensation reaction. And you definitely need to learn this definition, little bro. It's simply just a type of chemical reaction in which two molecules are combined to form a single molecule while losing water, and that's exactly what you see here. In this case, we've just taken two monosaccharides and we've turned it into one disaccharide plus its baby, water. Now, bro, if we can make two molecules have furious, violent love with each other to produce water, then surely we can do the opposite, right? We can break a big molecule with water, and that's what we can see here. We've just reversed the chemical reaction. We've got one disaccharide, and we've thrown water at it like a literal spell, like a wizardry. And this water molecule breaks apart this big, compound, this big disaccharide. It breaks it apart. It breaks the glycosidic bond, returning them into their constituent parts. And we call this hydrolysis. And again, you can refer this from the name. Hydro, meaning water, and lysis, meaning break. Literally, all you're doing is just breaking a molecule with water. You're using water to break something. And in this case, we are taking a disaccharide and we're breaking it with water into its monosaccharides. So pretty easy.
Hey guys, you can fix this right here. You can't.
Alright, bro. Got a little exam question for you. This is from AQA. I used to think they were called Aqua, but no, they're called AQA. It says here, yo bro, raffinose is a trisaccharide made of 3 monosaccharides, galactose, glucose, and fructose. And it gives you the formulas here, which they're all basically the same. They just have a different structure, slightly. Now it asks you here, what's the number of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms in this raffinose, in this trisaccharide, when they combine together? So I'll give you a second to answer this one. It's not too bad, and I'll go through it in just a second. So I'm going to start out by drawing these bad boys. So I'm going to all assume that they are the same structure, because it hasn't told me otherwise. So I've drawn them out because I've memorized the structure of the monosaccharide as I've told you to do. No complaining. So I've drawn out these monosaccharides and put in all the relevant chemical groups, the chemicals, the atoms, everything like that. So I've got these 3 drawn out. Now what do? Well, I simply combine these hydroxyls together. I combine them to form my glycosidic bond. I leave out the oxygen because that's the thing that's going to form the glycosidic bond. So I put them all together. And how many waters is this? 2 water molecules. So you can pretty much see what I'm doing here. I just take it away from the added equation. So C6H12O6, right? I've got 3 of them, so multiply by 3. Then I minus the 2 water molecules that I've just released from combining these 3 monosaccharides together. So minus 2 water molecules. And this equation multiplied by 3 is just C18H36O18. Bit of quick maths. Minus H2O of it, you get C18H32O16. Quick mathematics, innit, bruv? Yeah, that's basically it. That's the answer. C18H32O16. It's basically just testing your knowledge on whether you know how these things combine and what leaves, what enters, all this Billy bollocks. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Make sure to subscribe the video, like all that bollocks, and I'll see you in the next video.